Hello and welcome. My name is Thomas McGee, and in this video, we're going to talk all about how to manage a client project using Basecamp. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to mention to begin with is that if you're not a Basecamp user, or maybe if you're just interested in using Basecamp, or if you've just got some clients that you want to maybe manage a little bit better, then this video is for you. So don't think that you have to be a Basecamp user or even have to use Basecamp in order to get something out of what I'm going to share with you in this video. One of the other things I want to mention as well right up front is that I am not an affiliate or a partner. I get no commission for mentioning Basecamp. In fact, they don't actually have an affiliate program from what I can tell. So again, it's one of those things where I just want to share this with you because it has been a tool that has become increasingly useful and an imperative piece of my client project workflow. So to start with, what I would like to mention is that the type of work that I do is both product-based, so I create products, WordPress themes over at Notable Themes, and then I work with clients on an individual basis. So some of these clients include, people like Michael Hyatt or Ray Edwards or Grant Baldwin, or individuals who are building a platform. Then I've worked with others who are a bigger part of a small business or corporation of some kind. So I've worked with those businesses as well. So like Platform University and FilmPack. And what we do is we build out custom tailored WordPress websites. Now the process of creating a WordPress website is pretty entailed. We've got the initial design and kind of the brand pieces that go into that. Then we've got the front end of development, the back end development, all of the functionality, and then every step of the way working with the client or clients in order to create a website that's not only going to look great and easy for them to use, but actually produce tangible results in their business. So I say all that to mention for you, if you work with any type of client on any type of project, a lot of the things that we're going to cover in this video are going to be useful for you, and you'll begin to see why. So it used to be when I was working with my clients, it'd be the back and forth of email and sharing files. And what I noticed sometimes is that for whatever reason, some of my emails would go to spam, or vice versa. Some of their emails would go to spam, and so things would get lost. Also, there was this organizational piece that became a hindrance in actually finishing the project, in the sense that you'd start an email thread that was like 30 or 40 emails long, and it initially started on a specific topic, and by the time you got to email 43 on that thread of emails, you were in a completely different area. The reason that is a problem is that later on, as you go back and let's say you need to find an agreement, or you need to find logo comp or website comp number 2 out of 10, finding those specific things are difficult through email if you're not very intentional about being organized, and that's not always possible. So again, not only the communication, but then also sharing files. What do you do if a client needs to share something with you that's 12 megabytes? You can try to send them a Dropbox links, or you can tell them, hey, sign up for box.com or sign up for Cloud App, and some of those things I've done in the past. But the nice thing about something like Basecamp, as we'll see here shortly, is that it's just got a files area where somebody, once they gain access, they can just drag and drop, and then there you go. Okay, so I wanted to just give you a little bit of a rationale for why I decided to try to find something outside of just email, something like Basecamp, to make the project management process easier. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and dive into Basecamp. I'm going to start a new project, show you around what Basecamp looks like if you're not already familiar with it, and how I use it in order to manage my client projects. Okay, so here we are inside of Basecamp, and there is a ton inside of Basecamp, so I'm not going to go through all the different features. What I would recommend is you just head on over to Basecamp.com. I think you can do a free trial if you'd like to poke through all the different features. What I'm going to focus on here is just the actual process of creating and managing a new project. As you can see, you've kind of got a company area. Just so you know, Basecamp is very much It's very modular, so everything is sectioned off. So particular people have access to particular areas. So this is the, what you would consider the company-wide headquarters. Then particular teams I've got sectioned off, and again, people have access to those particular things. And then these would be considered projects. In my case, those are largely going to be actual client projects, although not always. Sometimes I'll do like a project that is specific to a product that we're developing over at Notable Themes. The great thing about Basecamp, and I've never seen anything like this among all the other, kind of project management or task management tools, is that they're so segmented in the sense that you can create as many projects as you want and then give access to who you want to each of those projects. So people from your team can gain access, and then they have access to particular pieces. And then most importantly, you can also give your client limited access to that project as well to replace things like email and file sharing, as I mentioned previously. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in here and start a new project. Okay, so now they're going to have a little tutorial you can go through if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. Okay, so what you have in every single project, and you can go through and you can actually edit, you can configure the specific tools. So there it is. You can go through and you can specify which tools show up. You can also drag these around, but I generally leave these the same because I tend to use them all in their different contexts. Okay, so the campfire is what you can consider something that's kind of like Slack. So you go in there and it's just an open area where you can just chat with anyone. So you can just chat internally with your team. You can also go in and actually invite the client to chat in there as well if you want to. I typically don't share the campfire with my clients. I typically keep that reserved for members of my team so that we can just get in there. Again, very similar to Slack, to just get in there and chat. So you might be wondering, okay, so then why not just use Slack for that? One of the things that I found so difficult with Slack is the organization feature. Like, again, if I was trying to find all the conversations we were having as a team about a particular project, that was almost impossible to find without using the search feature. And then even the search feature is hit or miss. So with something like a project that you've created that you're all working on as a team, if you confine your chat, to that particular project, you always know where to look. Plus, again, not going to get into all the features here as well, but they've got a killer search feature, which searches literally everything, including archived projects. So you just hop in here. You can just, again, it's very, very similar to what you would typically see in something like Slack. Hi, how are you today? So it's very much what you're used to seeing. And then you can just chat in here with as often as you want to with the particular people that you want to. Okay, the next thing is the message board. The message board is amazing. This is essentially what is going to replace email. So for example, if this was going to be a client project, actually, you know what? Let's back up real quick and let's go ahead and invite some people. Okay, so all we have to do is click add people. You can add someone from your team if you wanted to this project, but let's say we wanted to add a client. First, you're going to fill out some sort of organization. And then you can add all the information. And then we just click send now. It's then going to email me. It's going to send out your client exact instructions, what they need to do to set up their account. And it's really easy. Then what we're going to do, let's head back on over here and let's take another look at the message board. So then this is where you're going to be able to specify if you want this to be an internal message, meaning only your team sees it, or if you want to allow the client to see this as well. So let's say we want to create a quick welcome message. There you go. And then you could save it as a draft or post the message. And then there you go. One of the benefits of this is that there's no hunting through all of your emails and all of your folders. You always just go to the project. And then what we do is every single time we create a new version of a piece of the project we're working on, whether it's a new comp or logo design or a piece of development that we've created, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new thread on the message board, and then through here we'll start a conversation or a dialogue or a back and forth. And the great thing is right here within this message board system, they can just drag and drop to upload files or forms or photos or whatever it is that they need to provide for us. It's all here. It's all located in this central area, and it's really easy to access. Okay, then in terms of the message board, you'll just see here a chronological ordered list of threads that have been created. So pretty self-explanatory there. To-do lists are great as well because you can create a separate list for every piece of the project. So things to get from the client, and then you could give access to the client. You can create the list, and then you can go through and start adding to-dos. So you could say the front page copy, and then you can assign it to the particular client if you wanted to. So again, really easy to work here. Save changes, go to to-dos, and then there you go. You can even create things like groups, which I've started using more regularly, which is great. So you can, the whole idea here is that you're able to go through and you're able to organize things. You're able to delegate tasks to members of your team. You can add task lists. You can create groups. You can create multiple task lists, and you can have lists that are specific to members of your team and then lists that are specific to you and your client. So it's a great way to be able to manage everything and seeing how everything is working together. Okay, and then the next thing is the schedule, which is great about this. If I were to add a date to a particular task that I was working on, so let's say that this particular task is going to be due next Wednesday, click Save Changes, jump over to the schedule. What you'll see is those tasks work within this. So again, now not only are we replacing our task manager, Slack, and email, we've also replaced our calendar, and the tasks are showing up on the calendar. So now in here, I'm going to be able to schedule out our phone meetings, our conference calls, everything that's going to be in here. And then again, I can pick what I have access to, what my team has access to, and what the client has access to. Okay, so jump back over here. And this is something that I think is fairly new to Basecamp, and that is automatic check-ins. And this is amazing. This has been a game changer for my team. So what this is you can have automatic messages sent to your team to which they need to reply to. So for example, at the end of every day, a message is sent to me and to each member of my members on my team. What did you work on today? And it just takes 1 or 2 lines, and this just helps me as a business owner check in and see on what is actually happening. This also helps me also kind of goes in tandem with as I'm working using the full focus planner, which check out some of the other videos on this channel where I talk a lot about the full focus planner. It helps me review my day and make sure that I got done what I needed to get done and all of the loose ends have been tied up. You can even have questions that are asked of your client, though I would be very careful with that because you don't really want to overwhelm them. But again, automatic check-ins are just an automated way to make sure that you and everybody else on your team are staying on task. Then the last block we have here is the docs and the files, and this is exactly what you would imagine it is. So somebody could literally just drag and drop files here. So I'll put things like the project agreement, the project proposal, the scope, but then I'll also put areas for the client to upload photos or documents or copy. And then you can also go in here and you can create folders, and I typically do this and say, put your web copy here, and then so that the client can just pop in here, drag and drop any of the files they want to. It just keeps everything nice and organized, but also, again, this replaces Dropbox. So that is kind of in a nutshell all the things that are here. Then what you can do is you're going to get this nice little project overview or project activities. You can see everything that you and all the members of your on your team have been working on here at a glance. And so a ton of other features here that I won't really go into, but here's some of the tips I wanted to provide for you when it comes to working with your clients and working with your team. Tip number 1 is to make sure that if you're going to be working by email or Basecamp, whatever it is, make sure that you're starting a new message thread every single time that some sort of new piece of the project has begun. So if you want to welcome your client very good. But once you start the first piece of the project, so in our case, it'd be the initial design comps for the website, start a new thread, email thread. If you're working in something like Basecamp, then start a new message board thread. Start something new and always delineate and keep those as organized as you possibly can. So that's number one. Number two, again, if we're to look at some of the pieces here, make sure that you have a specific place to go and to communicate with your team and have that organized. So again, if you're not using something like Basecamp, have something like Slack. And if you're going to use Slack, and you can use it to communicate with both your team and your clients, make sure that you have a separate avenue for each. Create a channel that's specific to your clients and then one that's specific to your team so that you can always try to keep those things as organized as is possible. And tip number three is to check in often. As I touched on here, that they've got the automatic check-ins. It's a good idea if you're working with a team or even with your clients to make sure that you're communicating regularly, at least on a weekly basis. For your team, you want to always make sure you know what's going on behind the scenes, what they're doing, and with your client, always to give them a peace of mind in knowing that the project is moving forward. Okay, so I just wanted to share some of those tips with you, show you a little bit about a little bit of Basecamp. I think that, with all the different tools that get tossed around today, I think Basecamp is really underrated. As you can see, it's replaced like 4 or 5 different tools that I used to rely on in congruity in order to manage each of my projects and my daily workflow. So again, it's become an invaluable tool. I could not recommend it highly enough. As I mentioned, I'm not a sponsor, or they're not a sponsor. I don't have an affiliate or anything like that. I just really like the product, and it has seriously changed my workflow and made it a lot easier for me to work with not only my clients, but with my team as well. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.